Welcome ladies and gentlemen, my name is Targran and once again I'm going to talk to you about the lore of League of Legends. In our last episode we covered two League champions who are almost symbols to the city-state of Bilgewater, and while we're still staying in the general area of the city, today's spotlight will be focusing on someone less known for his connection to the Blue Flame Island. Graves, the outlaw, will be joined in this episode by his former friend and currently his biggest opponent. I am of course talking about Twisted Fate, the Cardmaster. Enjoy. Malcolm Graves has never known his parents. Born in the glorious city-state of Bilgewater, he's been left in a tavern with nothing but a bottle of milk. He spent his childhood in the slums of the pirate town, learning techniques that have allowed him to reach his adulthood. Using a knife, pickpocketing, cheating, all the dirty tricks that have been almost essential to the young boy's survival in a most unfriendly environment. Against all odds, he survived this harsh period, and as a grown-up teenager, he's decided to find a better life for himself. So far his life was difficult to say the least, and now Graves was intended to change it. He found his way onto the first ship heading to the mainland that was not highly secured, and he made his way into the biggest city-states. Unfortunately his expectations met quickly with reality, and Graves had realised that Noxus, Zorn and Demacia are not much better than Bilgewater. Not if you're a poor man with nothing to his name. Graves had to start from scratch once again. Smaller thefts, winning high-stake card games, anything he could do to earn him some money. As soon as his presence in one city-state was notified to the government, Graves would change his current location and emigrate to another city-state, where he would start doing the same thing once again, until he once again had been recognised. For a few years Graves had managed to make a reasonable living out of that, until one day when he met the man by the name of Twisted Fate. The game's stakes were unusually high, and both Twisted Fate and Graves had made it into the final round. Seated opposite one another, they'd revealed their hands. Both of them had been dealt 4 aces, and while this resulted in serious consequences for both of them, and stripping any prize off them, that didn't matter. Graves knew he'd found someone equal to himself, another con man who had spent his whole life training how to cheat. Those two had formed an exceptionally successful alliance. Working together, they wouldn't usually work together to ensure that one of them won the game, and later split the money when no one else was looking. Their alliance was highly successful, and due to their partnership, it had been even harder to accuse them of cheating, as Graves would cover Twisted Fate or the other way round. They could easily win any game they wanted, and earn as much money as they needed, if only the cooperation was not broken by someone from the outside. When Graves had cheated someone and hustled some money off him, he would usually disappear, leaving no trace behind him. This usually worked perfectly, until Graves had cheated an influential official of Zorn. Offended by Graves' actions, the politician used all his contacts to gain intelligence on the con man and his mysterious partner. With the help of his friends and a bit of money, he managed to find out about Twisted Fate's deepest desire and contacted him. The deal was simple. If Twisted Fate could capture Graves and bring him to the Zornite prison, he would get contact to the people who could perform some very special experiments on him, and perhaps even help him. The stakes were too high for Twisted Fate to skip this opportunity, and he agreed to it. Graves has been locked in the prison for a few years before he managed to escape it. First thing that the outlaw did after leaving the prison was getting in touch with a gunsmith. He ordered a very special shotgun for himself, Destiny, as he called it. That was the weapon that he meant to hunt down Twisted Fate with. So far, he's even followed Twisted Fate into the League of Legends. But who was the mysterious Twisted Fate though? He was born into a poor gypsy family. His parents weren't able to afford any luxuries for themselves or their son, but they have however gifted him with something else: exceptional luck and talent to dealing with cards. Since his youngest years, the boy could perform numerous card tricks, including pulling cards from his sleeve without anyone noticing. This unusual skill had been a great blessing to the boy. Travelling with his parents, he would often take part in numerous card games. Underestimated by his opponents, he always managed to win. No one could even accuse him of cheating. Blaming their loss on a little boy is a cheap move. As he was growing up, Twisted Fate had been winning more and more underground card tournaments, and even legal games. Every time he'd been accused of cheating, he had managed to get away just before the authorities could get closer to him. It earned him a lot of money, as well as a reputation. But that was not what Twisted Fate really wanted. Through his childhood, he'd been listening to stories about magic and watching mages perform their art. He'd always been fairly fascinated by the ability to control unknown energy, to bend it to your will. His desire to gain this power was close to obsession, but yet the man had to eat. He kept playing in tournaments to earn more money. When one day he met a man named Graves, they formed a surprisingly successful partnership. Yet when the duo had been visiting Zorn, Twisted Fate had learned about experiments that were meant to gift people with magical abilities. He started his own research into the matter when he was suddenly approached by a man. He offered to put Twisted Fate in contact with Dr. Wrath, the mastermind behind the experiment. The price was simple: betraying his partner and bringing him into the prison. Many men wouldn't agree for that, but Twisted Fate was far too obsessed with his goal of learning how to use magic. He agreed to the terms and lured the unsuspecting Graves into a trap. Upon meeting Dr. Wrath, Twisted Fate had been warned of potential consequences of the experiment, but he completely ignored the risks of uncontrolled change, extreme pain, or even death. At this point, those would not matter at all. He was intended to endure whatever the cost would be. He underwent the experiment. The pain was unbearable, but Twisted Fate did not intend to give up. When he was so close to reaching his goal, when the experiment had been finished, Twisted Fate could not feel any change, and enraged, he charged at the team that conducted the experiment. But suddenly he could feel strange energy flowing through his body, and he teleported himself several miles away from the operating room. With a smirk on his face, Twisted Fate understood that the luck was once again upon his side. Upon learning how to control his abilities, Twisted Fate had dropped his career as a con man, instead making his way into the Institute of War, where he was accepted as a champion. And that's us done for this particular video. Boy, you can leave your suggestions for the next episodes in that comment section below this video. There's also our Facebook page to head over and like, and if you follow us on Twitter, and you can go back and watch all the previous episodes of Lore of League of Legends if you're bored. And as always, I'll see you next time.